Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to WOW. Welcome to all. This is I do this every year. I do something every year for summer solstice and for National Indigenous History Month, National Indigenous Peoples Day. And this is it. And now it's completely COVID conscious only. And I really love it that way because I know, we're all a bunch of people full of heart. And that makes me very happy. So, yeah, I will say a little bit of housekeeping things. First of all, I want to, well, I'm going to say my land acknowledgement in a moment too. I just want to let you know this event is trauma informed. And so if you, I'll give you a simple practice before I do the welcome song. So that's going to help you to bring yourself into your body and to kind of feel supported and feel when you need to and be present and at the same time take care of yourself. There will also be some mindfulness practices throughout for the same reason and because of other things too. It helps us to be in our bodies. We need to be in our bodies as much as we can. And if you're having a hard time, let one of my moderators know. I'm going to introduce them in a second. If you're struggling, just DM them in the Zoom chat. Your DMs are enabled. You can do that. And they will let me know so that I can stop what's going on. I'll just take a pause and then provide support to the whole group, not outing anybody, but just supporting the whole group, just taking a pause. We'll do some breath work or whatever it is that's needed. So yeah, so don't worry if something comes up for you, and because things can be triggering when it's unknowns and we're talking about some heavy topics. So I'm going to make sure to do my best to keep this trauma informed for that reason. Yeah, and so what did I want to say? There was one more thing. Yes, so I'll introduce myself. Traditionally, I'm going to light this sage here that I have. I've already put down tobacco, sema, and sage is mishkadewish in Ojibwe. I know more Ojibwe than Cree, but I'm more Cree than Ojibwe, so it's just the way that I've learned because of what I did know and what I didn't know about myself. So I'm just going to smudge myself first in my drum, and then the rest is going to be for everyone here, and that includes you if you're watching this on a replay. So smudging, for anyone who doesn't know, this is a way we start often, depending on the community, but my teachings, I start with a smudge. And that is, it's a way to come in to a space in a good way, to leave behind some of the stuff that maybe we've been carrying and clear our minds, clear our hearts, and be ready to listen and learn and to be present in our bodies. So I'm just going to smudge up I have lots of helpers here, different stones and just different medicines here. And then the rest is for you. I'm just going to say miigwech migase as well. This is one of my eagle feathers, and that's that eagle medicine can help us too. So yeah, I wanted to sort of introduce you to my moderators. They'll be quiet and stuff, but for that's not usual with one of them because one of them is Tara Moriarty, who probably a lot of you are familiar with. U of T professor, infectious diseases researcher, and founder of COVID-19 Resources Canada. I volunteer there. So does my other moderator, Aileen Scott, and those are the two people in the maybe pop something in the chat, Tara and Aileen, and then people can see what you're known as in Zoom, I guess. Yeah, and yeah, I'm grateful, very grateful for your support in this, and yeah, so let us know, for those of you who've just joined, let us know in the chat where you're joining from. And I'm seeing lots of different places, which is so cool. And And I'm checking. It's just looking. I maybe have a lot of we're pretty Ontario heavy here, aren't we? And then we have some from Vancouver too. Yeah, West Coast, and some other places too. I know. Yeah, so feel free to do that, and it's a good practice too to find out. And I didn't put this in or whatever. I think it's native-lands.ca. That will show you wherever you are in the world what the Indigenous territories are and if there's treaties involved and stuff like that. So that can be a helpful resource. So I want to give you a welcome song to start us off because, like I said, that's kind of how I start everything. And that welcome song is like an opening prayer. Sometimes we have both, and when events and ceremonies and things. But this is my way of praying, and I did actually do a little bit of prayer before this. But yeah, this is also where you're going to get your first mindfulness practice. So you can kind of be here for yourself too, and be present in your body with whatever is happening for you. So this any welcome song that we do is like an opening prayer. It's a way we begin something, and it's a way that we are calling in our ancestors and thanking them for being here and supporting us and getting us here in the first place. And I like to refer to what I like to say that we're inviting in our higher realm support team and acknowledging them. So whatever that means for you and your spiritual beliefs or practices, or non-spiritual beliefs or practices, whatever that is. Anywhere from the higher self out to the universe, but most circles we would say creator, but for me, I'm multiply thinking, I guess, like that. So that's how I think of it, is our higher realm support teams. So this welcome song in particular is called Breath of Life, and it's a song that came through for me when my son had died. And so I was going to a friend of mine's I was going to a powwow, and a friend of mine came up to me, and at the powwow, and she said you should go talk to this guy, and she showed me him, introduced me to him, and it was Ken Pidwanaquet, and he's the author of a book called When My Son Died. So it was obvious why she wanted me to meet him, and so I chatted with him, and he put his hand up to me like this in front of my chest, and he said, "Breathe. You're not breathing." And like I'm a singer, I have to breathe. And and all this stuff's going on in my ego land here, going, wow, like I am a breathwork person, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Trauma and grief take your breath away. And sometimes they keep it held in, and it's like we're just holding on to it for dear lives, and don't know it. And for the most part, most people are walking around just shallowly breathing, whether they have had trauma or not. And we're mostly coming from our heads. So I want to get you here today, coming from your heart and your belly. That's where I want you to come from. And so what this song will do is help you to remind yourself to breathe into your belly. And that's the kind of breathing, and I don't mean bypassing the lungs and the heart to go down to the belly, but making that breath reach down to your belly. Because that's where all your creative energy is, where your sacred feminine energy is. It's where the fire, your passion lives. And when we connect there, we connect ourselves to our spirit, which also lives there. And so when we're connected to our spirit and our body, we have access to everything. We have access to our inner resources, right? And because of that, to our outer resources, because we'll be able to notice them. We'll be able to pay attention to the important things, which aren't always what we think they are, right? Sometimes that little snail has a message, right? Sometimes that cloud in the sky has a message. There are things that we don't always look at or pay attention to. And when we're in our body and spirit, that gets easier. And then you can make your life a lot easier. So one of the things about Breath of Life is that it's a contemporary song. I have one of my hand drums here, and I have to do something quickly here. I'm gonna find this. What is happening here? I don't know why that didn't. Okay, got it. Sorry, techie Zoom things. Yeah. So I'm gonna sing this welcome song and just know that I'm welcoming you, but also all of your ancestors, all of your higher realm support into the circle. And when you hear me breathe, breathe into your belly. Ha, ha, we, ha, ya, ya, ha, ya, we, ya, we, ya, ha, we, ya, we, ya, ha, we, ya, hey, ya, oh, we, ya, hey, ya, we, ya, hey, ya, oh, we, ya, hey, ya, we, ya, Yahweh, we, ya, ha, 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 we, ha, ya, ya, ha, ya, we, ya, we, ya, ha, we, ya, we, ya, ha, we, ya, hey, ya, oh, we, ya, hey, ya, we, ya, hey, ya, oh, we, ya, hey, ya, we, ya, ha, ya, we, ya, ha, 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 we, ha, ya, ya, ha, ya, we, ya, we, ya, ha, we, ya, we, ya, ha, we, ya, hey, ya, oh, we, ya, hey, ya, we, ya, hey, ya, oh, we, ya, hey, ya, we, ya, ha, ya, we, ya, ha, 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 we, ha, ya, ya, ha, ya, we, ya, we, ya, ha, we, ya, we, ya, ha, we, ya, hey, ya, oh, we, ya, hey, ya, we, ya, hey, ya, oh, we, ya, hey, ya, we, ya, ha, ya, we, ya, ha. Which I'm going to say, well, thank you. That's thank you in Cree, in Ojibwe and Cree. And I'm going to say again, Tawau, welcome to all. And I'm noticing, I did see the chat, and yeah, take care of yourself if you are under storm warning. We have tornadoes in Ontario today. Not great. And, you know, so there's warnings in many places. Instant Weather Ontario is a really great app. I'm not affiliated with them or anything, but I watch their live streams. They will live stream about the storm, and they have the most accurate information I have found anywhere, to be honest, for Ontario if you're here. So if that's you, I just put in a little bit of an extra prayer, and I am friends with the Thunderbirds, so I'm going to ask them to take it easy on us today as well. So yes, do take care of yourself if it happens. Don't worry, there's a replay after, and I will send it out as long as I can. As long as you're on my, you should be all on my email list for that, and I'll be sending that out in the morning. So yes, stay safe, take care of yourself, and And yeah. Um, so I wanted to share something. I don't usually talk about this, and I didn't really think to talk about this, but I'm in a room with a lot of people that follow science. And so I wanted to share that when I talk about medicine, it's in a different context. And so in Indigenous culture, one of the English ways that we use to describe things like our natural gifts, our talents that we're born with, the things that make us who we are, the things that we share with community, like what are we good at, right? And also the things that nature has for us, the trees, and the all kinds of medicines, and that's what we call them. Tobacco, sema, that is a medicine. Mishkadewish, the sage that is in here, that's a medicine. Water is medicine, and we're full of water. Take a sip of water. I'll always remind people to drink water, and especially if you have tears, drink water if you have tears today, because it helps to replenish the tears. And an elder now, and she was a traditional teacher when she taught me that a while ago. But yeah, so medicines. We think of medicine when I say the word medicines, I'm talking about things like tree medicines and different herbs and plants and sometimes foods, right? Strawberries are foods, but they're also medicine. Yes, and thank you, Aileen, for saying that. Yes, if you have strawberries, or if you have some strawberry jam, or frozen strawberries, like go get them. I know that some people might be allergic to them, so don't do that for yourself, But it's a big teaching that I'm going to share in a little bit. But first, I didn't. I kind of like skipped a beat here because I was already doing my prayer before. I wanted to introduce myself properly. So Tansei Bosho Mishkikinagamonanikodishnikaz Gokokoni Dodem Calgary Tinchaba Deshkin Siva Megwanadida Niani Hio Esqueo Anishinaabe Kwe Scottish, English, French, meanwhile whatever else and Dao. And just saying greetings in Ojibwe, Cree, and a little bit of English, and describing myself the best way that I know how, and I'll share a little bit more about that in a moment. But I also want to say, I said that I'm grateful to be living in Deshkanzibing, which is this sort of greater area that includes London, Ontario, and it's named after the river here, which is known before colonial times as not as the Thames River, but as Antler River or Horned River, Deshkanzibi in Ojibwe, and probably had a lot of other names too before with the different peoples that have come through and lived here. So yeah, when you hear me talk about medicine, you'll know that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about pharmaceuticals, right? Which are also medicine, just different kinds of medicine. Yeah, so I'm going to share with you some of the life-changing medicine that I have made. I talk about making medicine out of our grief, out of our trauma. And we're going through so much as a COVID conscious community right now. We're going through so much as an Indigenous community, not community, but many, many communities. And there's just, I'm just one person. And when you learn from different Indigenous people, it's going to be different every time because we have so many different languages, cultures, communities, and histories, and different circumstances for where we come from and how that all works. So I'll share some of that good medicine that I have learned and was born with as well. That's my songs, right? I sing. I probably came singing out of the womb for all I know, but I was adopted at birth, so I will never know that. But the songs, the stories that I'm going to share today those are going to be what's packed full of teachings, and I'll offer some straight up teachings as well. And we're going to celebrate summer solstice. I actually have a song for that, for celebrating, and National Indigenous Peoples Day and National Indigenous History Month. And I did these early, like a week early, so everything's that's all next week, right? So is the full moon. The strawberry moon is next week as well. So we're in the strawberry moon kind of month, and then we're solstice is when the strawberries are really, really important to us, and really they're a good medicine for us anytime. But yeah, so I'm going to share some strawberry teachings here, And also in full moon circles, and I do like a full moon healing circle every full moon. Um, I don't always bring out the strawberries, but in June every time I do. So I want to have strawberries. But if you're joining me for that one, bring strawberries and water for that too, because it's the strawberry moon. So I'm also, like I said, I'm going to share some mindfulness practices. Breathing into your belly. Remember that one? Remind yourself to breathe into your belly anytime you find yourself up in your head, or maybe you have pain. I have chronic pain. I have long COVID and a bunch of other stuff. So I find that I don't. And here's the thing: when we're sharing our medicine, that's ours to share, then some of that pain can go away, or be less, and not we don't feel it as much because we're in our joy, right? And so when I sing, when I'm doing these workshops, these circles and things like this, I don't feel the pain that and trust me, I feel a lot of pain every day, 24/7, except for when I'm doing this. It goes away. When I do my healing work for my clients, it goes away. And this is why it's so important for us to remember who we are and to be that as much as we can. So, so I'm going to talk about that too, and give you just mindfulness practices every now and then are going to creep in, because that's just what happens. Because that works for me, it works for my students, my clients, and I know it works because there's actually science around it as well. But I won't get into that because I don't have the certification for it. But yeah, mindfulness helps us. It's not. I know if you, because I have long COVID too, so I know that can be triggering to hear that for some people, because it's not the be all and end all. It's not, but it's a piece of the pie that can help us. It's a piece. So yeah, and the things that I'm going to share will be accessible, as accessible as I possibly can make them. So I'm going to also share some simple, effective reconciliACTIONs that you can take, especially the non-Indigenous folks here, that can to support the end of colonial practices of harm. And that's harm in your own lives and systemically as well, right? And so some of that can support you as well, and just in your growth and your healing journey, your life. But yeah, I feel really blessed and grateful, and it was actually through COVID-19 Resources Canada that we went, or we took a program with Maya Chakabi, who is a wonderful, wonderful teacher, and it was through York University. If you're looking for a cultural competency training with Indigenous and a trauma training, she is your person to take that training from. Amazing, amazing course. It's through York University, Glendon, if you're looking. But I will send you a link actually with that and some other really good resources for reconciliACTION, for learning about Indigenous history and culture, and also for supporting how you can support Indigenous Indigenous peoples and communities and organizations. So I'll have that for you. In the replay email that goes out as well, and I'll share some of that today here as well. Yeah, so how does that sound? Are we good? Can I get some emojis or some yeses in the chat? And I'm just relighting the stage for a minute. Awesome. Yes, yes, yes. Cool. And Tara, I see you're still here. Make sure you take care of yourself, man, and we need you. These tornadoes can hopefully just go away and dissipate and harm no one. And I'm holding prayers for that as well. So make sure you have your glass of water again, and I'm going to drink some. I'll be drinking water all throughout. I just always do it, and it reminds me to have gratitude for the water that I drink and the fact that we are made of water. So we need to always have water. And also, water is the first medicine. I won't go into that whole teaching, but it is the first medicine. And can anybody think of why? Why would water be the first medicine? I'm just curious if anyone has any ideas about that. In the womb, yeah, water is life, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because the water breaks before the baby comes, right? The water breaks before the baby comes. So we, and we're made of water, but we come from it too. So, so I'm always, I have whole workshops on water alone. And that's why, because I appreciate the water so much. And so if you have strawberries, yeah, you can get them out and have them with you. I have like a little container of frozen ones because I was like, ah, too late for Instacart now. But I've got my strawberries here. So yeah, and I had them in my smoothie this morning. Um, so thank you, Tara. Yeah, thank you for that in the chat. Yeah, you can even if you don't have strawberries or are allergic to strawberries, you can still use the emojis. Yeah. So so receive a belly breath. Let yourself. I'm just going to remind you every now and then to breathe into your belly. Get comfy as you can, right? Because we're going to be dealing with some uncomfortable stuff and some fun stuff. Um, and yeah, it will depend on your whole situation, and I want you to make sure you're taking care of yourself in the process. So, and again, if you have a drummer shaker, yeah, go get it too, because we'll be doing some drumming and singing. I'll share a little bit about my work before we get going. For those of you, I know I have some new people here. If you don't know me, I'm an award-winning singer, keynote speaker, loving the strawberries in the chat, and healer through my medicine song healing work, which is something that I received as a gift from Spirit in 2008 when I was having a very hard time, very, very rough winter. And the result of that was I prayed for some help and I got a whole healing technique that I use now. And so if you feel things when I'm singing, that's why. And yeah, and so my Picking Up the Pieces 13 Moon Resilience and Reawakening program, it's really now for COVID conscious women as well, because I want to surround myself with COVID conscious women and not just anyone, right? And I want to hold safe space for us that way. So I use my music. My music is where, like, song is where everything comes from. Song and spirit are my first two languages, I swear. And that's where everything comes from for me. So it's been very interesting being a COVID conscious person in that, because it's like my whole community of kind of healer people and spiritual people and also musicians kind of fell off the radar, became very COVID unconscious or never were COVID conscious to begin with. And so, and I know a lot of you have grief around that as well for the people in your lives that are no longer in your lives, right? But yeah, so I wanted to have something, because this whole Picking Up the Pieces thing came from my own album that I made after I lost my son, and I'll share a little bit about that in a bit. But yeah, I've been singing for, I think it's over 40 years now. It's been a while, and professionally, and it's been my career really. But now it informs everything I do. So I'm not out there on the stages, spreading COVID around. Instead, I'm in my home here, and because I have long COVID and other disabilities, I don't go very, very many places except to do some keynotes when it's safe enough for me. But that's been my life for a long time, and I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, and mostly helping women find their voice. That's been mostly what my work was. Up until my son died, and then it became more about became more about grief for a while and trauma, but also I learned through that I have this saying that came after my son died: you can harvest the blessings and teachings of every experience. And I fully believe that and have experienced that. And so all of this came out of that. It came from deep, deep loss and tragedy in my life. A lot of the teachings and the gifts and the things that I do and carry have come from that. So my passion, my teachings have come from that, even, from turning trauma into medicine, like I was talking about earlier. So after things like losing my parents when I was young, And yeah, my son I lost about 7.5 years ago, and I had to do the math on that because my brain is broken around math ever since. Um, but in 2016, my son died by gun violence. So breathe into your belly. If this is triggering for you, breathe into your belly and be in your body and let the tears come if there are any. Let any emotions just be with you as we're going through all of the teachings and the things that I share today. And I'm going to bring us into song to support you through this as well. So I said I'd share a little bit more about myself in terms of, well, I didn't really specify, but what I meant is about me as an Indigenous person, which comes into question sometimes. And unfortunately, because of the way that colonization has done us wrong, there's a lot of lateral violence in our communities too. And so people pitting themselves against each other and others against each other, like, and you know, some people, to be real about this, are actually pretending to be Indigenous, and some are not, right? Some of us have been, so my story is a bit different than what you would normally hear, and that's why I want to share too, because it's complex. It's not easy to share. It's not easy to have lived, frankly. But I was born in the 60s. I was adopted immediately at birth. Not really immediately, though. I found out later. The paperwork shows me that for, I don't know, 6 weeks or something, I was, I don't know where, not adopted yet. And I will never know that. There's no record of anything there. And so I just know that my mother gave me up at birth. And so my mother is Irish and Scottish, and some English, I think, and I think that's about it. And I didn't, you know, she told me on where she told everyone. I mean, the birth certificate said that my father was, I forget now, from, I don't know, like white, anyways, and he wasn't. She put the name of a man on there that she wanted to do. I don't know what she did that for. Because she won't talk to me now ever since she found out that I know that I'm Indigenous. And so this is what happens, right? There's so much harm and fear and a lot of feelings around identity in our communities. And for me, my identity, I haven't even known who I was for most of my life. Into my 30s, I didn't know that I was Indigenous, because the birth certificate and adoption papers said I wasn't, right? And so, and I was just in this little white community, and the only time I saw Indigenous folks, now that I look back at the picture back in the 90s, I was looking back at my old photos, and I was like, well, damn, they could be my sisters. Wow. But I hadn't really seen or noticed people that look like me or have the same kinds of experiences as me. Like, I've been always very deeply connected to nature, and there are certain things that I've just done all my life that didn't make sense if I was just your average white person, right? And living in that neighborhood, basically, you know, like that wasn't my people, but I could feel that wasn't my people. But I didn't know what I was. I just knew I was different. And so I used to spend a lot of time up in the hills. We moved from Calgary, where I was adopted and born, moved from there to Kamloops. And when I moved there, I felt home for some reason. And we had the mountains right behind us, and I think that's part of it. Nature was just right there, accessible to me. So I used to spend copious amounts of times up in the sagebrush behind our house. And so, you know, I had a really strong connection to the land and to the waters, and that wasn't in my family. My family that raised me you definitely would know I was adopted. They were not like me. So, yeah. But yeah, so in my 30s, I went to York University, and lo and behold, I found one of the classrooms or I guess it wasn't really a classroom. It was one of the rooms, anyways, in one of the colleges at Yorkview. Um, and it was a little poster about a potluck with an elder, and I was like, that sounds really up my alley. I want to know about that. And I've always been very spiritual. Well, since the '90s, when I started kind of sort of waking up to myself a little bit and trying to figure out like who am I, right? And and so when I went to that potluck, I had no idea what was going to happen. I had no idea I was Indigenous at all, right? And everybody was just, so where are you from? And I thought they were talking about, I'm like, Calgary, and then Kamloops, and then I didn't know what to say. But when someone asks us that in our community, that means like they're trying to find their connection to you if there is one. Like, oh, you're from Wiki. I know I have a cousins there, blah, blah, blah. You know, what's the connection? Because we're all connected. That's just a given. We understand this, and hopefully you all do too. And for sure, COVID conscious folks are all connected too. But yeah, when Indigenous people say, where are you from? They want to know what the connections are. And so I didn't know that, and I didn't know anything about that. So I've had to learn from scratch and come back to myself and learn more about who I am when it's kind of hard to know, because I don't have all the answers. And a lot of those answers were erased by my mother. And so my father is also, like, I'm mostly settler, and then I also have through my father, Cree and some Ojibwe way back. And so that's all I can say for now, because I don't know the full story, and a lot of us don't. We don't know the full story of who we are. And so it can be really difficult, and the things that a lot of us have been through, I had a lot of parallel things happen, you know, like my adoptive parents died. I had a lot of trauma because of that. My mother died by suicide. My adoptive mother died by suicide when I was 15. My father died of a heart attack just before I turned 18, and there was a lot of trauma from those years. Like, I didn't really feel like I was a teenager ever. And, you know, it wasn't until I lost my parents, though, that I felt like I wanted to search for my biological parents. And I still didn't know I was Indigenous, or I didn't even suspect it. I had no idea. And so I just thought people were mean to me because they felt like being mean to me. But now I understand there were a lot of racism incidents when I was a child and when I was a teenager. So yeah, I didn't know, and then started to know, because I as soon as I met that elder that one day, actually, and her name was Lillian McGregor, and she's in the spirit world now. I'm so blessed and grateful that I met her, because she helped me so much. And I'm going to get tears from that, because she helped me so much to come home to myself and to find my way at the very beginning of my healing journey. I was also already like very much connecting back to my spirituality that I understood so far, but I didn't know yet, you know, very much of anything about my Indigenous heritage and that part of who I am, which is really a huge part of who I am. And so when I met her, I remember feeling surprised that she would just invite me into her home. She would just be like, you can call me anytime. Come on over. I'm like, you don't even know me though. But that's how our people are. And I didn't have that experience growing up. I didn't feel like that sense of community and sense of belonging like that. But she gave that to me. I went to her house after, and actually a hawk helped me to find it. Crazy story. I've always been connected to animals and to nature, right? Well, I was walking to her place. I got lost. I'm like, where am I? I don't know how to find it. And I'm just terrible at directions. And that's because when I was in grade 3, someone beat me up, and then I got lost on the way home on the first day of school. So So I didn't know where I was going. So I stopped and I just looked up at the sky and there was a red-tailed hawk there. And I just trusted my intuition and I went, okay, I'm going to go where that hawk's going and going that direction where it's going. And as soon as I did that, I found the place. It was just like right in front. I'm like, oh, I know exactly where it is now. And I just got there, you know, and she helped me so much with a lot of things, including actually sexual abuse by an elder. And because of her, that person got, you know, reprimanded, got taken care of by the community in the way that needed to happen for that community. And they had been doing that to a lot of women. And we had circles because of that happening too, where another elder that I love so dearly, who is still with us, the one who gave me my name, she held circle for us, for some of us who had gone through that. And that's, again, you know, this is all coming from colonization. These ways of being and knowing that we carry inherently are not that. We care about each other, and that's something, you know, like, I didn't grow up with that. So it's almost like it becomes painful to be cared about when you don't have that, when you don't feel that sense of community care. And so what happens now with us as COVID conscious people, that's what I feel all the time within this community, within the COVID conscious community. We have that community care, and that's a beautiful thing. And so that when you see other things going on that are not that, you know, we know, like, they can't be, you know, COVID conscious, or they're having a really bad day and they're really up in their trauma, right? But with Indigenous folks, a lot of us have been torn from community and didn't grow up with that. So I might have some fantasy about how I could have grown up with that. I wouldn't have, because my father's family, I still don't know which of several men is my father in that family. And he's probably not with us anymore either, but I don't know that. But they are, most of them are, or all of them are Catholic, or some other form of Christianity, and did not follow their practices, except for one thing. Like, my first cousin that I talk to now, who's helping me with all of this, is she said her father speaks Cree, and that just, you know, that feels home to me, even though I didn't, you know, like I said, I've learned mostly Ojibwe teachings and language, and that's because I thought that's who I was. And it is way back, but not as much as I am Cree. And so, yeah, this is like the sort of forever unwinding story that I probably will never know the full truth. But I'll know some things, right? I can learn some things about myself and share those things and share who I am. And I know on a spirit level who I am. That's 100%. So it's just this body that I live in, right? And where's my community? I don't know. I kind of know, but I don't. Because our communities were ripped away from us, basically. The government did that. And so so I'm kind of 60 scoops, and I'm kind of not. Some of you may have heard of the 60 scoop. I'm kind of that and kind of not. According to the person that was running there's an organization in Alberta for that, and yes, she said that I am, but, you know, my mother is white, and she's the one that gave me up. But it is all that colonization, because she knew that you know, I know now too from how Christian she is, it would not have been very good for her to come home with a brown baby. So there's that. Yeah. So what I want to share with you is I want to share a song called Andayan Honor Song, because when I met Elder Lillian McGregor, she's the one that told me, she said, go to Andayan. They're going to help you there, and then you can get into Nikanon. Andayan is a women's shelter, an Indigenous women and children's shelter in Toronto. Nikanon is their sort of second stage housing, is what the government calls it, but what they call it is a healing lodge. Andayan means our home in Ojibwe, and so does Nikanon in Cree. And so it's kind of cool when I look back too that I was staying at a place that had, Cree and Ojibwe. Um, but this song came, so I was staying at the place. I managed to get myself in there, like Lillian said. I took her suggestion, I got myself in there, and they helped me. So I had help from my family once we moved to Nikanon, especially, and I was able to, have my daughter in a good way because I was pregnant with my daughter at the time. And so while I was living at Nikanon, I was really kind of discovering myself, right? It was a self-decolonization process for me. That's what it was. And, I imagine like when you think about your home, because this is what Andayon mean it is our home, right? I had a sort of home at the time, but it wasn't great. Just some crappy little apartment that I was really hoping to get out of and find a better place, and which is what happened eventually. But when I stayed at Nikanon, we were able to see elders, we were able to see traditional teachers, we were able to see other people too, but a lot of Indigenous support. And so I went to all the circles. I went to all, if there was a healer present, I was there. All the things that I could soak up, I did. Because I wanted to know who I was and I wanted to be that, right? And so that is what happened. I had amazing things happen because I was so engaged and committed to myself and to learning and to unlearning as well, right? Which is what we're all, I'm doing too still, right? I'm still unlearning a lot of the or the colonization practices and harms that I carried. And I still catch myself in sometimes, right? Because we're all in that. We're all in that sort of box, as Maya Jacoby, she would call it that. She'd say that we're stuck in a box. And I'll sing a song about that later too. But Andayan, I'm going to share this song, Andayan Honor Song, because so one day when I was walking with my daughter, she was like probably 2, 3 years old, and I was walking down to the Dairy Queen from there. And when I walk, I often will get songs. And so I was walking and I had to stop because a song came through. And Andayan Honor Song came through. And this song, I felt like I didn't have a right to sing it because it had an Ojibwe word in it. And I'm like, who am I to sing the language? So there's a lot of shame that we end up carrying just for trying to be who we are. And I was feeling that, and I'm like, why did I have to get an Ojibwe word? Like, do I really like... And I know when Spirit gives me songs, I have to sing it that way. That's meant to be sung that way. So I had to. And I had to kind of move through that discomfort and that pain about not feeling like I had the right to my own language. And so I did, I sang the song, and I actually even presented it to Andayon when they had, I don't know which, it was the 20-something anniversary of Andayon, and I surprised them with the song. And so, I often will, it's on one of the resources I'll be giving you as well if you'd like to donate to that place. There's, the link is there. It'll be in one of the resources I give you. But I'm going to sing this for you, Andayan Honor Song, and it is an honor song. And when in our culture with honor songs, if you want, you can stand. That's what we would do if we were in person. We would all stand and in honor of women. That's what this song is about, but it's also in honor of our home. And so whatever our home means to you, and I want you to kind of, dig deep in yourself about that. What does that mean for you? What is home to you? In some respects, COVID-19 Resources Canada is home to me. In some respects, Dashkanzibing here, this area that I live in, is home to me. And in some ways, it's Kamloops, where I grew up. And I feel like that's still my hometown. It's mostly where I grew up. And I still don't, I can say Lac La Biche because that's where the most recent community of my family on my father's side were from. And I don't know the full story, right? And some of you may not know your full story either, and it can be really beautiful, unfolding, and kind of difficult for especially us Indigenous folks, but to kind of look at that and what is home to you? And what is home now? I'm home in my apartment in London, right? and I'm home in myself. And that's really what it comes down to, is no matter whether I can find, whatever that community is for me, I'm home within myself. So breathing into your belly, reminder, breathing into your belly. And I'm going to sing this honor song for all of us because it honors women. Anti-On is that shelter for women, and so and children. But this is all about honoring ourselves as women, ourselves and each other. And feel free to sing or drum along or move along if you want. Hey ya, ha, away hi yo, hey ya, ha, away hi yo, hey ya, away away hi ya, hey ya, away yo, away hi ya, away ya, oh hi ya, away and I am, hey ya, away away hi ya. Hey, away, oh, away, hi, away, oh, hi, away, and I on. And you'll notice our songs repeat, usually 4 times, maybe 7 times. So you'll hear the same thing again now 3 more times. So if you want to sing along, it's repeating. Hey, away, hi, oh, hey, away, hi, oh, hey, away, away, hi, hey, away, oh, away, hi, away, oh, hi, away, and I on, hey, away, away, hi, hey, away, oh, away, hi, away, oh, hi, away, and I on. And I see that question in the chat. And absolutely drum along if you want. Drum along, sing along, dance along, shake along, whatever feels good to you, or just sing or tap your heart, whatever feels good to you. Hey, away, hi, oh, hey, away, hi, oh, hey, away, away, hi, hey, away, oh, away, hi, away, oh, hi, away, and I on, hey, away, away, hi, hey, away, oh, away, hi, away, oh, hi, away, and I'm gonna do one more. Hey, away, oh, hey, away, oh, hey, away, away, hi, hey, away, oh, away, hi, away, oh, hi, away, and I on, hey, away, away, hi, hey, away, oh, away, hi, away, oh, hi, away, and I on. Yeah. So take a big belly breath. Let it move through you. And sip some water if you were singing especially. Yes, I love that song every time. And it sometimes makes me want to cry because of how much it means to me, because of how much those women meant to me. Some of them are still friends of mine, the ones that I shared quarters with or shared meals with sometimes. And we got that community care there, and that was my first experience of it, actually. So yeah, so just breathing in, breathing through and out. Oh, it's awesome. So I'm in the chat saying that's the first time I've drummed like that. Yay! Yeah, so beautiful. Awesome. So yeah, summer solstice. I want to share some teachings, and we're going to do some strawberry teachings. Don't eat them strawberries yet. I mean, if you ate some already, whatever, just get more. But yeah, we're gonna share them in a bit. So I mean, if we were in a circle, we'd have a big bowl of strawberries, and everyone would get one until they were all gone. Basically, we'd just go around the circle, and everyone would get them, get at least one. So yeah, the summer solstice and Indigenous Peoples Day, and just the fact that we as COVID conscious folks have made it this far, like y'all need to celebrate yourselves seriously, and so do I. So we are celebrating that, and yeah, and please, go and I'm gonna have resources. I don't know if I have. I don't think I have any, but you'll see like. Different places that are and different live streams that will be going on throughout this month, really, but a lot of it will be next week. Different powwows and stuff, and just I do still have my teacup here, and it has the teachings on it. If I guess I have to hold it like this to show you the teachings, but these are the one version of the 7 sacred teachings, or the 7 grandfather and grandmother teachings. It just depends on where you hear it. Love and respect, courage, honesty, wisdom, humility, and truth. Like, whoops, stop fading away. Zoom's making it fade away. There we go. Yeah, so these are teachings that we live by. I mean, some of them. There's other teachings we live by too, but these ones I really hold dear, because if you have all of these going on, you've got a good communication going on, and you've got good relations going on, right? And good care of each other, of ourselves, and of our environment. So I just guess I needed to share that. I'm going to sip some tea too. So yeah, I'm going to share a song. I'm going to share a celebration song. Actually, I guess I'm going to do that now. Just do that now. And then we'll get into strawberry teachings, I think, because then we have another song after that. So this one's a really cool little simple song that, by the way, what I was singing just now, other than Andayon, was vocables, not words. So most of that was not words. This will not be words. If there are words, I will tell you what they are. The next song I sing will have Ojibwe words, and it'll also have English words and vocables. Vocables are sounds that are rooted in our languages, and kind of an inclusive way to share. So at a powwow, you'll hear a lot of those kind of songs where there aren't any words, and then anyone listening there's a mutual understanding, because you're just really getting the energy of the song and the meaning of it if they share it, which is why as a part of my protocols I share the teaching and the story of the song. So celebration song came to me in September 2022. It was I don't remember what day it was, but it was right after, or it was the same week as a new moon ceremony I did for my Picking Up the Pieces group. And sometimes that happens. I'll be doing stuff like this, and then afterwards I've got a song comes through. That's why they call me Medicine Song Woman. So yeah, so I had this song come through, and it wasn't necessarily really about the new moon, but new moon is about new beginnings. We just had the new moon last week. But this song particularly is just about the joy. It's about just having joy for just the reason of having joy, and celebrating whatever you can. And so celebration song, I'm going to just share that with you first, because here we are and we need to celebrate. You'll notice I do 4 beats before a lot of the time I do this, because those are honor beats, sending out our prayers and intentions in all directions. So feel free to sing and drum or shake or move to any of these songs. Oh, yo, way, yo, way, ah, oh, yo, way, yo, way, ah, oh, yo, way, yo, way, ah, oh, yo, way, whatever little bits of joy you can gather up, just amplify it all. Oh, way, oh, way, oh, way, ah, hi, oh, way, oh, way, oh, way, ah, ha. Oh, way, oh, way, oh, way, ah, hi, oh, way, oh, way, oh, way, ah, ha. Oh, way, oh, way, ah, hi, oh, way, oh, yeah, way, ah, ha. Oh, way, oh, way, ah, ha. Oh, way, oh, yeah, way, yeah, ha. Yeah, one of my favorite new songs that I have. Some of these are recorded, some of them are not. This one's not recorded yet, except in these events and stuff. So, breathe into your belly. Breathe into your belly. And yeah, I'm going to share some solstice and strawberry teachings. And these I've learned them over the years, and then some of them just very recently. But some of the grandmothers I've learned from are Pauline Shirt, who Grandma Pauline just left for the spirit world not too long ago. Missing her big time. Renee Thomas Hill as well. And Vivian Recollet, and others in the community, Jackie LaValle. Um, yeah, just lots of amazing grandmothers I am very grateful to have learned from. And yeah, I do just want to say like a personal little tribute to Grandma Pauline. Pauline Shirt, like so many people in the Toronto Indigenous community and even outside of that community know her because she's just been helping and supporting and sharing her teachings everywhere. And she was a fluent speaker of Cree language. Um, in fact, she's also in the movies. I was like, I don't know about all of you. I love my sci-fi shows, and I love it when there's an Indigenous one. I found one, and I can't remember the name of it right now. Maybe somebody from C19RC can think of it, because I put it in there somewhere, but she's in it. I heard her voice and it's unmistakable, it's just unmistakable, that beautiful voice of her speaking Cree the way that she does. It just sounds like a flowing river and so beautiful. And yeah, she's in a sci-fi movie. So there's not that many sci-fi movies and indigenous ones out there, so you'll be able to find it. I think it was on Crave or something. Anyway, she was just beautiful. She's just such a beautiful person. Thank you, Tara. Yeah, just amazing. And so she's the epitome of strawberry teachings, and that's why I'm mentioning her right now. And also because some of those teachings come from her. But also like her ex-husband, Vern Harper, I went to his sweat lodge when I first was learning about myself. In 1994 or 5 or something, I started going to sweat lodge with Vern. And the two of them, I mean, oil and water now, but, well, maybe not now because they're in spirit world, but, they were together and then they weren't, right? It was not the greatest relationship, but the two of them brought so much to our community in Toronto, the Indigenous community, just over so many years. Like, holy cow. Yeah, you can look it up. There's tons of stuff on YouTube and everywhere else, because that's who they were, sharing with the community. And so, yeah, so if you have your strawberries, get them out. Don't eat them yet. we're gonna, well, I'm not gonna do that now because it won't be on the recording. But I was gonna let's show our strawberries. But yeah, I'm excited if any of you have them at all, and you can throw some emojis in the chat as well. But I'm gonna talk about them, and then we're gonna eat them, and then we're gonna sing a song. So, so the word strawberry in Ojibwe, and in Cree it's very similar actually. It's the only difference is one letter, and it sounds almost the same. Is Odeaman, or Oteaman, is Cree, and what that means is heartberry. And there's a deeper. I'm just surfacing the language because I'm a baby at the language, but that's what it means. It means it's heartberry, but it marks the start of the summer. that's why this berry is so important and marks the start of the summer. So this is a real, when it's summer solstice, really, um, that's, so we don't have them. I don't know if we have them here yet in London. I haven't seen any in the stores I get to shop from, but I don't go everywhere. Um, but this is the first berry. So we talked about water being the first medicine, period. And then this is the first berry here in Ontario. Different places it might be like the blueberry or something else, but here in Ontario it is the heartberry, strawberry. And so strawberry Cheerios, there you go. Yeah, creative, man, that's great. Um, yeah, so they used to grow wild everywhere, and they still do in some places. I've found them, and I don't. This is not one of the teachings, but I was teaching myself about herbs and trees, and I just wanted to know what was growing in Ontario and what could I use, like wherever I'm living, what can I use, and what are these for? What shouldn't I eat? What are good medicines? How do these help? And so I've been able to help people with bee stings, in a hot second because I know how to do that now for that reason. Um, and so I saw little wild strawberries sometimes, little tiny, they're so little tiny out there in like by the Humber River in Toronto. And and every time I would see them, they were right beside hemp. I would see little tiny hemp plants because they look sort of like marijuana, but they're not, right? They're closer to the ground, very close to the ground. But they seem to grow together. And anyways, the berry, there's so many teachings. Some of these newer teachings I just learned, they teach us to mend relationships. And they remind our youth to respect their sacred vessel, to respect their bodies. And the berry, because the berry is hollow in its core, I know that the ones from California and the sort of the domesticated, they're not the same. But even still, like if you look at it's hollow in the core, and maybe there's a little core in the core, but that's where Creator sits. That's this teaching that I just learned. And traditional medicine, they're traditional medicine and they're a food. Like strawberry, you can use the leaves as tea. They help us women. And you can use the strawberries themselves, right? Often you go to a powwow, and unfortunately it's usually full of sugar, but there's strawberry drink, I think they call it. I always request it without any sugar. But there's, because strawberries are good medicine. And so they teach us how to live the way of the heart and how to put aside grievances, which is that's a big one we're all going to have to somehow find our way around. And that's a hard one because we've been grieved in so many ways. COVID conscious community, and same with Indigenous community. There's just a lot of anger. For Indigenous folks, we have a lot of anger in communities. We have a lot of unresolved healing because we have had basically everything taken away, including our identities, right? And some of us, like myself, I can't, there is no community for me. And I may never know. And there's a lot of folks who are in similar positions, or even who do know, but they don't have any of their teachings or culture because they couldn't, because maybe their parents went to residential school, day school, or they were 60 scoop survivors themselves. So a lot of that has taken us away from who we are. And here's the thing, I was going to say this later, but it has to be said. I learned this from Joanne Dallaire, the elder that gave me my name, but I've heard it from other elders since as well, that we are the only species on the planet who have forgotten our original instructions. The only ones. We're the only ones that we don't know what we're doing. Clearly, right? We know this, but we are the only ones that forgot our original instructions. The other animals, insects, everybody else, birds, they're all like doing what they came here to do. So that's because we have that power of choice, for one, and we need to use that in a good way. So somehow, so that there isn't lateral violence. And we're starting to see that in the COVID conscious community too. We see it in the Indigenous community all the time. People hurting people. Hurt people, yes, but it's not an excuse, right? It's not an excuse. But it does come from colonization. We're all in this. We're all colonized, like it or not. some more than others, but we're all in this. And, to get out of it, well, there is no way out right now unless that totally crumbles. And it's starting to, but not in the way that we were hoping it would. So, it's taking us down with it. But yeah, we need to live the way of the heart. We need to, as much as we can. And that's painful when we keep getting hurt. And so this is where I knew it would speak to you. And it's one of those places where it's like, well, this is happening in the Indigenous community, but I also see it happening in the vid-Conscious community, right? And so, yeah, we need to find our way to do that. Oh, this is the only berry. If you have strawberries right now, like even if it's in jam, you look at it and you're going to see that the seeds are on the outside. They wear their seeds on the outside. And that's a teaching of vulnerability as strength. That's what that is. Vulnerability is strength. They dare to wear their seeds on their outside. That was one of the first strawberry teachings I ever learned. And the berry gives of its whole self. Like I said, we use the whole thing, the whole entire plant. So when you feel sadness or loneliness, the strawberry can help to fill you up. And if you're allergic to strawberries, well, the medicine of it in your mind can help you to fill yourself up, because it's showing you the sweetness of life, right? It's showing you the sweetness of life, and that we can all be here for each other. We can all help each other. And we can kind of find our way, our own ways to be gentle with each other too. Even when maybe people aren't being gentle with us. It's not easy. My people have been doing it for many generations. And it's not fun all the time, but it keeps my spirit light if I'm not carrying around a bunch of anger and rage about how our people have been treated and are being treated. So instead of carrying all that rage, and I do actually have my shirt on that you can't see it here, but it's a friend of mine who also is in spirit world, and she just passed before Grandma Pauline actually. This is fueled by sweetgrass sage and Indigenous rage, and it's true. But putting that rage to use as passion instead, we can transform it into passion, and the strawberry can help us do that, and the teachings of it. So this time of summer solstice, we pass the strawberries around in our circle. If we were in person, right, we would pass them around to remind ourselves to be like a strawberry. Just be like a strawberry. I'm like, want to put that on social media, hashtag be like a strawberry, because it represents the love that we carry and the love that we are. It's even shaped like a heart, right? It looks like a heart, and it feeds our hearts. So I want to share a song for that. And we're going to first breathe into your belly. I'm going to take a sip of water here. And hold your strawberries if you can. I'm going to just be looking at mine. If they're jam or something, then the spoon. I don't know. But if you want to sing and drum along too, you can do that with me. So Aileen or Tara will put it in the chat, the lyrics. So the song is called I Love You, and you can see that's it. The lyrics are so simple. So simple. I love you, I see you, I feel you. That's it. Everything else is vocables or the same thing in Ojibwe. So when you hear me singing in Ojibwe, I'm singing I love you, I see you, I feel you. That's what I'm singing. It's all the song is about. So this is another song that came through after my son died. So what happened, like I didn't really say the whole thing, but after my son died, I did a whole album of songs for grief. And I spent actually most of 2019 doing that album and then putting it out in September before all of this started, this pandemic started happening. And the album's called Picking Up the Pieces, because I had a vision of myself shattered. Everything was shattered on the floor, right after my son died, and that literally is how I felt. And and this feeling led to this album. And it was just like, and my son used to be a musician too. He was a producer of and a rap artist and trap artist. And so I wanted to honor him, right? I wanted to honor Quinn. And he shows up for me all the time. Some of you know this already, but I won't go into all the stories, but there's so many stories because he's here. He lets me know that he's here in very obvious ways. Like the most beautiful, without getting into the whole story, is he'll flash lights to the beat so that I know it's him. It's like, it's unmistakable. It's not some random, like, maybe the cord moved or maybe the batteries are dying. Or I don't know, right? It's never that. So anyways, this song, I Love You, came from that. It was one of the last songs, and we were working on it in the studio. I was working with my producer, and he turned to me and he said, what's this one called? And I said, I don't know. Like, it's like, that's the only lyrics in it. I love you, I see you, I feel you. And it's way too long for a song title. So he's like, what about I Love You? And it occurred to him, but not me, that the Toronto Star had done like a headline article about me and Quinn, and an event I was going to be doing for homicide loss survivors. It was on the front page, and I think it was May 2019, something like that. And the headline said, she has to say I love you with a song. And I do. So I didn't see that. It was really, so I'm going to share with you, like, it's, I love you is, I'm talking about loving all parts of you. All parts of you, those parts that maybe you don't like so much, like giving love to all parts of you. Maybe there's an age, an inner 5-year-old that craves your attention. Maybe there's like a sore part of you, or maybe it's all of you. Like for me, it's all of me. I got chronic pain all over the place. But all those parts, I got to keep loving them up. I got to keep loving them up. Because the pain isn't who we are. The love is who we are. The love is who we are. And that's what has been lost in so many ways in so many people, right? We got to keep that love up because we are made of it. So we're denying our whole beings if we're not in it. That's the simple truth. And when we're in it, we also can pass that on. It's almost like it's in the air, right? When we have love, when we're wearing that on our outside, people know it. So we can do that for ourselves on the inside, and then we can bring that out into the world as well. So I love you, I see you, I feel you. I see you, I see all parts of me. Like, and there, a lot of times we have pain or anger or shame or any of those emotions that are really hard. And it's because some part of us that maybe it was your 5-year-old, maybe it was when you were, for me, it was 15 when I lost my mom, for example. Whatever age we were when something happened, and maybe that part of us needs a little extra attention. They just want to be seen, right? They just want to, when you have a feeling like you just want to be seen, check in with yourself about that, because I bet you it's from experiences of not being seen from when you were younger, right? Whether it was way back in childhood or even just 5 years ago or something. So I love you, I see you, and I feel you. That's about having compassion and empathy for all parts of you. Because when we do this for ourselves, then, like I said, we can bring it out for others. The elders always talk about, we've got to take care of ourselves first. Just like how you hear about the oxygen mask going on first. Same thing. So we're going to fill ourselves up with love, okay? And let's say on the 4th round, we're going to send it all around the circle. Send that love around just like we would with the strawberries, okay? And then we're going to eat strawberries. Okay. And yes, sing and drum along if you want, or shake along, or dance along, or just breathe along. And breathe into your belly. In, through, and out.
I love
I see you, I feel you. Yeah. So fill up on the love. Breathe it in. Breathe it in. Drink it in too with your water. And now you can eat it up because your strawberries are all full of all these vibrations and all of our good feelings here. Yeah. So just, and having gratitude for that strawberry medicine, having gratitude for the love that you are. Because that's like when we let go of all the other crap, that's what we are. That's what we are. We're love. So I love it. Yeah. Feel it, right, Clarice? Exactly. So yes, eat your strawberries. I will eat mine later, so I don't have a sticky mess in my hands. Um, and I'm gonna share like a little bit more here, and then we're gonna do. I'm gonna share a song that it's brand new. I mean, it's pretty new. I haven't really sung it outside of the trauma training that I took. So some of you have heard it. Only that one time was. I don't even know if it was finished. I don't think it was finished yet. Anyway, um, that's going to be next. But right now, I want to share that. Well, first, make sure you are hydrating yourself. We're into some hot weather, especially if you're in Ontario or wherever you are. If there's hot weather, drink up water. Not things like black tea or even green tea or things that dehydrate you, but water. Um, yeah. So breathing into our bellies, right? Like when we breathe into our bellies, we sound our voices, we sound our drums and shakers, or we sound whatever we have. But we, with these medicines that we carry, our voices are medicine. They can be medicine. Sometimes they're not if they're angry, but they can be medicine. Drums are medicines, and shakers are too. And they carry the medicines of those animals and those trees too, that that gave their lives. So that like there's a deer that gave its life for this drum, right? And we don't take that lightly. And then there's the stick. I think this one has a pine wood stick. And there's a rabbit. There's some rabbit fur here. Like I'm grateful for all of those creatures and all of the medicines that they gave. So when I'm using the drum, I know that that's coming through that deer, that gentle medicine of the deer, right? So there's different and the groundedness of the tree and of the frame of the drum. So yeah, when we put these good teachings and medicines together, and then when we have things like strawberries, and literally we can put the medicines into our body like that, right? Then it's going into our body memory too. And that's been proven. Like 7 generations ahead of us, what we're thinking about and doing today, right now. This goes into our blood memory. And the more and the more and the more, just like anything else, the more we repeat it, the more we practice it, the more it will stay in our body memory. Our brains might not be able to even process it, but it's there. So what happens is when we have trauma, like I do, and a lot of us, probably all of us do, from dealing with not just the pandemic, but all the other stuff around it, the denial and the gaslighting and all that stuff, then we need to be able to be strong in our bodies with our own teachings and practices, whatever they are. And to decolonize, you got to do the same thing, because it's really, really hard to decolonize something that built itself in order to keep it that way, right? Like that's what it did. And they're hanging on tooth and nail to keep that system going when it's just failing most people. So, and it was really designed to erase, delete Indigenous people. That is what colonization exists to do. And it's still doing. So, yeah, so I mean, I've had experiences even going to the hospital and, I don't know, having my baby and like my baby girl, my daughter, they tried to take her away. They tried to take my son away as well for literally no reason, except that I'm an Indigenous woman. And that goes, there's all kinds of really, I'm going to just say evil practices that still go on today, and a lot of it is within the child welfare system, and just systemic all over. So when we come into our bodies, and when you, especially those of you who are non-Indigenous and can be allies for us, like to stand up and speak the truth when you see someone not doing that, when you see someone spreading misinformation or being deliberately racist, right? People will continue to do that if they don't know any better, and some people will do that even when they do know better. That's the reality, but and that's what's got to change with colonization and how it is, right? Um, yeah, medical mistreatment, exactly. Yeah, I'm sorry that that's happened to another person here. So, so yeah, um, that stuff still goes on. It still goes on. Forced sterilization of our women, like a lot of that stuff, still goes. It's still happening. I saw a lawsuit. I don't know. I think it was last year. I think 2017 was as late. That was still happening. Women were coming to this lawyer saying they had that happen. They were forced to choose between their baby, keeping their baby, and sterilization. It's like, if you don't get sterilized, we're taking your baby. Stuff like that happens. And some of y'all might have seen the RCMP sort of debacle, this social post that went viral like crazy for a really bad reason, with a ribbon skirt. Because it looks all pretty on the outside, but what happened is they caused harm to communities, to all of us. They caused harm by posting a picture of an Indigenous woman with her head cut off out of the picture and dehumanizing us further, right? And no context to the photo except to say that ribbon skirts will now be a part of RCMP's uniforms for ceremony. And it's like, they didn't even say it would only be Indigenous women. They didn't say anything. And they left us all to fight amongst each other about what this even means when we don't know, because they didn't give us anything. But the RCMP were designed to get rid of us. That's what they were designed to do. And they still are. They are doing that. They are doing that where there are pipelines on sacred lands. And I will stop there because that stuff is going on, and I just want you to be aware that it is, because a lot of times the language in the media that you will see is about the history, about when this used to happen, but it's actually still happening. Yeah. So so I appreciate you being here to listen and to learn and to unlearn. I've had to do so much unlearning even myself, right? Because I was raised white. I was raised in the colonial box. I don't know, like I said, fully who I am even. So I'm unlearning. I'm shedding a lot of teachings that were bad for me, and finding my way to live inside this ridiculous box that we are all in a way that lets me have some freedom and to be who I am. And that's what we need to do. The more of us that are being who we are, the happier Mother Earth is, but also the happier we are, but also the easier it will be to bring down colonization. Because they don't want us doing that. They're trying to put you in a box, literally in a cubicle at work, so that you will do the things that they want you to do to keep the economy going, right? But really, it would be going a lot stronger if we would all just be ourselves, because we all have our gifts to share. Yeah. So yeah, and we can share those gifts through our blood memory onto our next ancestors too, like those next ones that will become ancestors later. So the elders, like I said, they say that we're the only ones. We're the only ones that lost our original instructions, and we can remember them now. We can start to remember who we are. We can start to be who we are, and that, like, core essence of who you are, that spirit of who you are, is not going to change. Other parts of our personalities and the things that we go through, the experiences we have in life they change us, right? And then we need to kind of reassess, and who am I now? Like after I lost my son, I was like, I don't know who I am. And then I had to re-figure that out, like, who am I now? And that core essence always stays. I'm telling you, all the grief and trauma that I've been through, that core essence is still there. It might feel buried at times, but it's still there. So just know that you're who you are. It is there. It is with you. It is literally in your blood, and it's in your spirit. And when you do things that bring you closer to yourself, then you're going to get closer to yourself. And that's going to keep us strong as a COVID conscious community. And it's going to keep you strong as an ally too. So, so coming home to yourself and being true to yourself, it's like probably the hardest time to do it, and also the most important time to do it. We really have to do it now. Because there's, that's really the separation point between colonization and not. So when things get heavy, you start feeling run down and stuff like that. When you feel, because I know we've all gone through this at some point or another. Like, should I really continue doing this? Can I just give up now? Maybe I should, like some people just falling off the mask wagon and stuff like that. Keep going. There's a word in Cree actually that I love that is agamemak, which is just keep on going, persevere, don't give up. So agamemak, like do not give up, just keep going, and take breaks when you need them, right? As many breaks as you need. I take so many breaks. I can only work about half as much as I used to, which is hard when you're a business owner and that's it, right? It's all I got. But I have to. I have to take care of my long COVID infested body for now, and and take care of myself so I can take care of my daughter, and so I can share my gifts and with you. So when you feel run down and that, like, you got to find those things that light you up. And one way to help yourself too is to gather with other COVID conscious people, right? Like we're doing here now. And COVID-19 Resources Canada also has that. We have community there. We have strong community there. If you haven't gathered there yet, come join us, because that's fun too. And when I say us, it's because, I'm a volunteer. I fell into it because I love it so much. Just love all the people and what's going on there so much. Gather with other COVID conscious folks as much as you can, because it's going to keep you in the reality we know is the reality, right? Not in the fake reality that has been created to appease people, right? And so here I'm gonna share a song, and I am literally gonna probably read my lyrics because this is my brand new song. And so I talked about Mea Chakobi, that I took a training, as some of us here did, with her about trauma and also Indigenous culture and history. And I loved that she gave us, I went to university and I love writing notes, and I would have been like the big student writing a whole bunch of notes. And her suggestion was to not do that. And I was like, I don't know if I can stop myself, but I'll try. And then I found out the first class, like, you got to stop yourself. You can't do it anyway. You just have to be in it and immerse yourself in it. And when you're talking to Indigenous folks, it's kind of like that too. A lot of times we get requests, we get things in our inboxes and social media or emails and stuff, like asking for us to do the research for non-Indigenous people. And it's like, go do your own research, to be blunt. And at the same time, sometimes I do want to help. There are certain things that I can help with that don't take too much from me. But a lot of times it does. It takes a lot from us. And so Google is your friend. Look at things up. Twitter is not maybe your friend anymore, but like there's stuff on there. You can find things, events and things like that. And, follow Indigenous businesses and organizations. And in fact, on one of the resources I'm going to share with you in the replay, you're going to have a whole bunch of social accounts to follow a bunch of Indigenous women's businesses. So do that. And then you can find out what's going on. You can find more of them. There's a couple of directories even. And when you're going to buy gifts for people, you can go there. Like, anyways, those are easy ways that you can support Indigenous people. And also, it's on my resource sheet that I'll give you, but it's just ridiculous on Facebook. If you're on there, I don't know whether there are other apps it might be on, but all these quote orange shirt sales. And a lot of times, well, what every time with those, like, just check and make sure you do your homework. Make sure it's actually from an Indigenous maker, because most times it won't be. On Facebook especially, there are tons of ads, and they are by fast fashion, non-Indigenous. They don't care about anything Indigenous. They just they stole Indigenous art and slapped it onto a t-shirt. And here, it's nice and cheap for you, so don't go buy Indigenous people's art. You can get it right here for super cheap. Like Temu, for example, is very bad for that, and other fast fashion places like that. So watch for that. If you want to support, it goes way beyond the orange shirt anyways, but if you want to buy an orange shirt or, moose pin or whatever it is, make sure you get it from an Indigenous maker, and make sure that it's somehow going to benefit an Indigenous community or organization. So yeah, that, and I'm gonna sip some water, and I'm gonna sing this song, and it's called Who Am I? And I've been talking a little bit about the box on purpose, because Maya taught us that, literally, like, that's the whole outside the box thing. We can never fully get outside the box, because unless we're off grid and off government and like living completely from the land, without government interference, we're always in the box. But we can kind of come out of the boxes within the box in ways, right? And for me, this was about my identity. In that whole class that we had, this was my homework. She said, oh, hand in your homework in a different way. It doesn't have to be written. Don't write me an essay, I'm like, okay, I'll write you a song then. So this is what I did. And now I realize I can't even see my whole lyrics on the screen. So I'm going to just have to just do the best that I can. But yeah, it was so on April 25th, 24, that's when I took the training. That was the first class that we had, and that was when I did this song. That was when the song started coming through. And when I sing in Cree and Ojibwe, you'll hear that. I'm saying, wake up, remember who you are. And then I'm saying my own name in Cree and Ojibwe. And then there will be some English lyrics for you to think about as well. So, yeah, right, Pam? Yeah, it's amazing what she does, totally. Yes. So, there will be a link on the resource sheet for you. Well, it's a webpage that I have for you with Maya's information. So if you want to take the next round of her course, you can. Yeah, highly recommend. So this song is called Who Am I? Who am I? What am I? Who am I? What am I doing? What is this box? I can't breathe. I can't live without oxygen. Way hey ya, hey ya. Way hey ya, hey ya. Way hey ya, hey ya. Way hey yo. Wanna ska? Kiss it to tasso. Wish kicking the gum when and wanna ska? Kiss it to tasso. Wish kicking the gum is wake up, remember who you are. Break down that box with your heart. Wake up, remember who you are. Only you have your gifts and your voice. Who am I? What am I? Who am I? What am I doing? The land and the waters, the winds and the fire know who I am. Way hey ya, hey ya. Way hey ya, hey ya. Way hey ya, hey ya. Way hey yo. Wanna ska? Kiss it to tasso. Wash kicking the gum when and wanna ska? Stick the gum, so we're sticking the gum, oh, it's square, oh. listen your voice. Wake up, remember who you are. Break down that box with your heart. Who am I? What am I? Who am I? What am I doing? Who am I? What am I? Who am I? What am I doing? Who am I? What am I? Who am I? What am I doing? Who am I? What am I? Who am I? What am I doing? Way hey ya, hey ya, way hey ya, hey ya, way hey ya, hey ya, way hey yo. Wanna ska, que se totazo, mas que na cam when na nekwe. Wanna ska, que se totazo, mas que na cam o esqueo. Wake up, remember who you are. Break down that box with your heart. Wake up, remember who you are. Only you have your gifts and your voice. Woo! Yeah. So that is some version of my song. It's still not completely finished, but I had to sing it because that is what we're talking about today, is coming back to who we are, remembering who we are. Giskisa dotaso means remember who you are. Waniska means wake up. So that's what we need to do. We need to wake up, be who we are, and that's what we hope that the world will do at some point, right? But it's one person at a time. And one thing that happens is when you be who you are, people can't help but notice that. They will feel it, right? And it will remind them of who they are. It might take a while to get there for some folks, but the more of us who are waking up and being who we are, the more easily people will be able to do that when maybe they're not in that place where they can do that yet. And a lot of folks right now are running around with trauma that maybe never had trauma before. You know, they don't really understand what it is and that it's affecting them in the way it is. And so they're not being very nice, right? They're not being kind. They're being rageful or angry or, you know, all the isms and all that stuff. Yes, right? Love. That's what they need to come back to remember that they are just love. They just forgot. So yeah, the more that we can remember who we are, the better off, you know, the whole planet's going to be, honestly. And I've been saying this for a long, long time, but it's getting pretty urgent. So yeah. So I'm going to have some reconciliation and remembering resources for you personally, and also for you to be a better ally. Hopefully this can help you in some way. I won't, thank you, Tara. And so one of those resources is, if you like, you can join the final season of Picking Up the Pieces for 2023 to 2024. That starts August 1st, so you've got a little bit of time. But right now, you can save 40%. And I haven't decided, to be honest, when the date is that will change. But this is the first time I'm really announcing that here we are. For this season to be open. We're in season 3 right now. So the 4th season has an extra moon in it. We go by the 13 moon calendar. And so we have 4 seasons, but the 4th one is where we put in that extra moon. So that means there's basically 8 women's circles that you would be part of. Oh, actually 9, because there's a bonus. So this is my Picking Up the Pieces 13 moon program, is where it's all COVID conscious women in the group. And it didn't start out that way. In 2020 is when I started it. And it's all based on my album with some of those grief songs that you heard. Breath of Life is one of them. I Love You is another. Those are from that album. And the album, you hear how the teachings go with the songs, right? They're not just whatever the song means and I don't know, the songs and the lyrics. That we always have teachings and and stories along with our songs. And especially, I mean, this is a protocol I've held dearly to myself ever since I learned it in the community, is to share those teachings before I share the song, so people will know what that song is about and what it's for. So you can also buy a spot if you want in that program for someone else. So if you happen to be financially blessed, I don't have the fortune of having funding for my business. I am it. So I can't just offer, I have to live. And so, but you, if you like, you can sponsor an Indigenous COVID conscious woman to get a spot in the fourth season of this program. So I don't have it all set up in some fancy way. So just tell me when you register if that spot is for someone else, and we'll make sure that it gets to an Indigenous COVID conscious woman who wants to join. So that's one way that you can help as well for reconciliACTION, whether you want to be in the program or not. And what else did I want to share? So I'm going to give you a web page too, but I just don't want to give you like a whole bunch of links right now and everything else. But I am going to give you that tonight at around 9:30 or something. You're going to get an email Eastern time. You'll get an email tonight with those reconciliACTION resources like I was talking about. So you can go follow the socials of Indigenous women's businesses and find out more about Andayon and organizations like that. There's another one in Washin Lodge that I've worked with the women there so many times, and I am right now doing that every month from here virtually. And they are doing in Ottawa similar work to what we have in Andayon and Nikanon in Toronto, and more actually. So it's supporting organizations like that and supporting the communities directly. Like Grassy Narrows is going through a whole lot right now. They're just look it up and don't look for mainstream media, because you know the story there, right? Same with the COVID conscious world. You're not going to find the truth there. You're going to find spin, right? You're going to find spin. And the same with the government. You're going to find spin. There are things that are being done, and there are things, many, many things that are not being done that need to. And we can only do what we can do, but each of us is one person that can do something. Yeah. And so, call people in when you're safely able to, and you're witnessing racism, right? Or misinformation. Like I've been in an Uber, I can't even tell you how many times when they're talking about, are you Indigenous? Oh, and then they start telling me about my people. And they don't even know. They're trying to figure it out. And they start telling me all these stories, and it's like, what are you doing? So I've had to call them in gently, in a good way. I can find a way to have a conversation about that when I have the energy. But when we have allies doing that for us, all the better, right? And that's what it's going to take to kind of bring some balance to the world, because I'm telling you, not me, but there are a lot of Indigenous people who were trained in their practices on the land and know how to do what they need to do to stop those forest fires or to control them, right? And have controlled burns. So much has been taken away from us, and that's also part of it. And, we know how to take care of the land. I mean, I kind of know some things even just because I'm Indigenous. I just wanted, like I said, to go by the river, and I used to spend every day while my son was at school, in elementary school, I would go down by Humber River. I would take out books at the library and find out what plants and what trees are here and what could I use them for, and which ones should I leave them alone, and how do I work with their medicines. And that was just inherent in me that I wanted to do that, so I did it, right? There are things that we can do to help us remember who we are, and to help the lands, and to help the waters and Indigenous peoples. So yeah, watch your email later tonight for a quick email with quick information, sort of resources for you, and look on Google, look around, look at APTN, for example. You'll find I don't know if they've done it yet. I don't think so though, but they do a celebration every year, and I'm pretty sure it's live streamed. If not, it will be televised. CTV, different, like there, you might be able to see some of those things if you are someone who needs to stay indoors, or like not that I said that wrong, stay indoors, not really, but stay in their home or whatever, to stay safe, right, or not go out to physical in-person activities. But there are some indoor or some outdoor activities as well, and lots is going on, and so celebrate us as people, but also you can learn and unlearn, right? I have some unlearning resources there as well, in the webpage I'll send you tonight. So what, and it's already in the chat, y'all are right on top of it. Thank you, Tara. Yeah, what is one reconciliation that you can take to support Indigenous peoples? Like, drop it in the chat, because if you write it down, it helps to remember. It helps get it into your body memory, because you're using your hands to write it or type it down, right? And be accountable as well. So just think of one thing that you can do, and it could be something very simple for now. Seriously, if you go like one of my posts on Facebook, you would have no idea, but it's quite huge what that will do, because Facebook has shadow banned me for talking about COVID things and Indigenous things. So that actually helps me, and it's free for you, right? So there's lots and lots of ways that you can help support us, and yeah, and so I'm wanting to do like a little bit of a sharing and a grounding here, and so I'm gonna just sort of come off of. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I wanna open it up to if anyone has any questions or any comments that they would like to share. And you can use your mic. I'm gonna remove this. Actually, if I remove the spotlight, it'll change it how the recording shows up. So I don't want to do that. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to do the traveling song first, and then we'll have a Q&A after that's unrecorded. We do that with our Picking Up the Pieces group. Like we'll do everything that's part of the class, and then afterwards we have an unrecorded sharing so that people can just say what's on their hearts, and if they would like or not, and yeah, and that isn't in the recording then. So I'm going to share traveling song. And I'm going to use one of mine because this is public. And so within my program, I use a different one, but I'm going to use one that's mine, called Reawakening. And I love that, Clarice. Going to teach a friend how to make tobacco ties. I love it. It's awesome. Going through the call to action from the Truth and Reconciliation. Yay. Yes. Thank you. So I'm going to sip some water first here. And actually, reawakening is so appropriate. It's so appropriate for right now, because it is literally, it's about reawakening. It's a song that came for, like, a friend of mine called me up, and it's a long time ago. I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, something like that. But she called me up and said, "Please pray for my family. I'm leaving the country. Goodbye." It was like, wow, okay, very serious. I could feel it, and so I said, "Yeah." And this is how I pray right here, my drum and my voice. And so I asked for a song. And that's how I do it. When I get these songs, they come through. And then sometimes I might add English lyrics in or whatever, play with the song later, but usually not. Usually it just comes through. And so this song, Reawakening, it came through in 2006. It was on my Spirit Connection album. That one's on all the like Amazon, YouTube, whatever, you can find it there. So Reawakening, and it was a song to literally to help that person reawaken, because the person they were all going to help, why she was leaving the country, was they were not wanting to be here anymore, and so they wanted to support their family member, their relative, through that, and the song called itself Reawakening, and it was for that person. So now it's for every one of us, for us to be able to reawaken ourselves and come back to who we are. And a traveling song is also used for helping us end in a good way. letting our higher realm support, our ancestors, know that we are grateful, and blessing and releasing them from our spaces, from our circle. And I'm going to say too that I'm grateful for all of you. I'm going to say chi miigwech, hi hi, Mr. Hey. Thank you, many thanks, big thanks for being here. And it's also for safe travels. So if you're going anywhere later, safe travels. And safe travels for any of those spirits who have just recently left, who are maybe struggling on that next journey. So that's what reawakening is for, and it will feel it's a very energizing song. Feel free to sing along, drum along. It's a double beat song. Didn't really talk about that today, but this is a double beat or heartbeat rhythm, and so I'm gonna sing this, and feel free to sing along. It just goes until it's done. I just know when it's done. So it might be 4 times, it might not, but it will repeat. You'll hear the repeating. Research Indigenous tribes in my area. Nice. Which buffalo yell. We do buffalo yell if we were in a drumming circle at the end of all that. So again, thank you, Chimigwich, hi hi Mr. Hay, many thanks for being here. For you on the replay, we're gonna close now. But if you're here live and you want have questions or comments you want to share, then feel free to stick around for just a little bit. I'm gonna just hit. I'm gonna stop the recording in a moment, but I'm also just before that I want to say I love you all, just like the song says, because the love that I am loves the love that you are. So, how do I say that in Cree again? It's like Gidazogan is how you say that in Ojibwe. But I love you all in Cree is Gizakitin now wow. And Kinanaskomatin wow is how I say thank you to all. Thank you to everyone. And Mioma Chwin is good health and good feelings for you. And Ekose Maka is how Grandma Pauline used to say, see you later, and she would say, that's it, that's all, that's what that means. Ekose Maka. Yeah, so I'm going to say Abama P, which is see you later for those of you on the replay, and stop recording.